The Solo Show is brought to you, as always, by Victor Naraki Realtor, serving Disney in the greater Orlando area with celebratingflorida.com and disneyatyourdoorstep.com. Coming up on The Solo Show.
Depending on what you say, that one, I feel like I should move that up into like a top 3 or 4.
Well, it doesn't matter what I say. We're not going to do a podcast together again anyway.
Stan welcomes Cody Havard from the Being a Fan of Disney podcast to the Solo Studios as they talk about their favorite sports movies of all time. Will they still be friends at the end of the show? Stick around and find out.
I'm Realtor Victor Naraki, and I specialize in living near Disney World. I work directly with you. I'm not a referral agent. A referral agent takes your name, takes your number, and then sells you to a random agent for a stake in that commission. When you call me, you get me, and I am there for you from the initial consultation through to closing and all the steps in between. You get me. Now, if you want to reach me, visit disneyatyourdoorstep.com for all my links, and you will get me.
And when you do get Victor, tell him the Solo Show sent you. Broadcasting from the Solo Studios, deep inside a catcher's mitt sewing factory, here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in the center of North America, on this little planet we call Earth, this is the Solo Show. On this adventure, Stan welcomes Cody Havard from the Being a Fan of Disney podcast to the guest host's chair as they whittle down a massive list of sports movies to find their top 10 sports movies of all time. Can they stay friends? Are any chairs thrown across the studio? Stick around to find out. And now, please welcome your host. Hey, Stan, do you know why the golfer brought 2 pairs of pants to the game? Just in case he got a hole-in-one. Well, you knew I wasn't Gabriel Iglesias when you hired me. Here's Stan Solo.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Solo Show. I am Stan Solo as always, and joining me today is my good friend of yours, Cody Havard. Did I get it right?
Havard.
He's a good friend of mine. I get his name wrong every time. Cody, you got the Being a Fan of Disney, the podcast, Being a Fan of Disney, the book, as well as the Perspective Files. How are those coming along?
So the perspective, I mean, the podcast is, we're about 150 something episodes right now. The book has been out for almost a year. And I think it was actually October, November that it was out. So it's coming on in a year, and
coming up.
So I'm looking at how to incorporate more things. And so I'm trying to decide if this is just going to be a book that, because it's published through Amazon, you can continually change it if you want. So I'm trying to decide if that's the path I'm going to take, or if I want to wait until there's enough to write an actual second book. And, either keep adding on or have like Being a Fan of Disney, the book too. The Perspectives Files, that as I haven't been able to add a lot to it, in the last couple months because things have been really busy, but it is getting to the point where now it's kind of taken that turn to where now it's getting to a conclusion.
Okay.
So, in 40 or 50 more chapters, there'll be a conclusion.
You keep adding to it. You're like Mr. Lucas. You can't make up your mind when the thing is going to end.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of sport analogy, sport. You're a professor at school, and one of the things you do is something to do with sports. I know that much. What was it again?
Yeah. So I teach in sport and entertainment marketing. And so we talk about, basically the business side of sports. So right now, as we're recording, the Olympics are on. So, that's a big topic that we'll be discussing this next semester is how much, for instance, how much money these athletes will be making off of the Olympics. Another really, really big thing in the United States with college athletics is called name, image, and likeness, where now college student athletes can make money off of promoting products and sponsorships and things like that. So that's a big topic. So we talk about things like that. And then also, like, we'll get into, I spend a lot of time talking about the connections Disney has just in the entertainment space in general because Disney owns so much. I have the class, being a fan of Disney, the class that goes along with the book and the podcast. And we spend a lot of time talking about that, like where, how does how does Disney influence everything we do in our lives?
Right.
Because
So the sports aspect was what I wanted to talk about. I figured with the Olympics on, and actually what kind of brought this on was, I've been wanting to watch Angels in the Outfield for a while now, and it was released on Disney Plus, finally. So I watched it, and actually, you know what? I'm wearing my Solo Show hat. I should actually switch to my Angels hat, seeing as how you got your Dodgers hat on, so we could both be California teams here. So Angels in the Outfield came on Disney Plus, and I really enjoyed that show. And it got me thinking, what is my top 10 favorite sports show? And I thought, I'm going to get Cody on, and we're going to talk a bit of sports, and we're going to find out what our top shows, movies, our top 10 favorite sports movies. And I told Cody before the show, I said, okay, Cody, you're not my guest on this one. You're my co-host, because we might get into some arguments what our favorites are, because we're going to take, we kind of went back and forth through the chat, adding movies here, adding movies there. We ended up with 55 sports movies altogether, and we could have kept going, and then we finally had to draw the line somewhere. And I actually said, okay, we've got to make a rule. We're not going to have any sequels, and we're not going to have any remakes. So that cut it back to 55, because we probably could have had another 40 or 30 just doing like Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, like that. So we no, it's only original movies. Has to be a sports movie. I think, what other rules did we have? I think that was, and the other thing I told Cody, I said, Cody, you're my co-host on this one, not my guest, because I don't argue with guests, but I will argue with a co-host to get my point across. So we might have to argue about some of these. We got 55. We're going to narrow it down to 10. So I thought we would do this kind of in bite-sized pieces. So we'll name the 55, and then we'll kind of go back and start stroking some off the list and see if there's a way to get us down to 10. So Cody, why don't you name us off the first 10 that we have?
Yeah, so the first 10, it starts with excuse me, sorry, 1969's The Love Bug.
We should say sorry. We should say that we do have these in order by year that they were released.
Yeah.
Just so that.
And also, Stan also provided the IMDb rating. So I think if we could say that a little later, if we we might use that for tiebreakers later, or for argument's sake after. We don't need to name them off. So the first 10 were The Love Bug from 1969, Bad News Bears from 1976. Rocky from 1976, Slapshot from 1977, The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh from 1979, Caddyshack from 1980, Miracle on Ice from 1981, Karate Kid from 1984, The Natural from 1984, and Hoosiers from 1986.
You know what? I got to say, I've almost seen every one of those in the theaters. When I look at the first 10 from the 70s and 80s, that was my year ago.
The ones I haven't seen on here, The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh and Miracle on Ice. Actually, I saw Miracle, the remake, but not the original one.
Oddly enough, same here. I've never seen Miracle on Ice. I was going to watch it, but it's like $5 to rent, and I went,
Yeah.
I don't need to see it. So the next 10 of the 55, we got Young Blood from 1986, Rad, also from 1986, Bull Durham, 1988, Major League, oh, that's a good one, 1989, Field of Dreams and Major League both came out in 1989. What an amazing year for baseball sport movies.
The late 80s.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Days of Thunder, 1990. A League of Their Own, another great baseball movie, 1992. The Mighty Ducks, 1992. The Sandlot, 1993, and Cool Runnings from 1993 as well. Those are some good ones in there.
Yeah, from like mid 80s to mid 90s, that was kind of like the peak of baseball movies.
Yeah.
If you look at all the baseball movies that came out, The Natural in 84, then you have Bull Durham, Major League, Field of Dreams, A Field of Their Own, A League of Their Own, and then The Sandlot in 93.
Yeah.
So the next, from the next group, Rudy from 1993, 8 Seconds, which is a bull riding movie from 1994, Angels in the Outfield, 1994, which, as we talked about, is finally on Disney Plus. Absolutely love that movie. I actually just emailed our league director to see if we could be the Angels this next season. That's why I'm wearing this hat, because we were We were the Dodgers last season.
Oh, you're the Dodgers last year. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And we went to an Angels game, and it was really, really cool.
Same here. Yeah. I don't get to
the
many games.
1995, The Big Green came out. 1996, Happy Gilmore. 1996, also Tin Cup, 2 golf movies in the same year. Space Jam, the first Space Jam came out in 96, along with Jerry Maguire. Air Bud came out in 97, and Varsity Blues came out in 1999.
Okay, I'm thinking this group will be able to knock off a few.
Yeah.
pretty easy in that group. So continuing along, next 10 is For the Love of the Game, that came out in 1999. Remember the Titans in 2000. The Legend of Bagger Vance, which is a golfing movie that also came out in 2000. Moneyball, I watched that one last night, 2001. Ali in 2001. Summer Catch, I'm not even familiar with that one. Summer Catch, 2001. Bend It Like Beckham in 2002. The Rookie, another great baseball movie, 2002. Home Team, 2002. And Friday Night Lights, 2004. 2003, nobody wanted to do a sports movie that we could think of.
Yeah. The next group is Fever Pitch from 2005, Glory Road in 2006, Invincible in 2006, and then another racing movie, Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, if anybody's seen that, from 2006. 2007, The Game Plan came out. That's kind of when Dwayne Johnson was making his big entrance into family-friendly movies. The Blind Side from 2009, Goon from 2011. In 2013, 42 was released. Eddie the Eagle from 2015, and McFarland USA, a high school long-distance running movie, was also released in 2015.
Okay. Then continuing along, we got My All-American, also from 2015. So we got 3 movies from 2015. Nothing for a while, because Safety is the next one in 2020. I don't think any movies came out in 2020. 12 Mighty Orphans came out in 2021, and Rise in 2022, and then Air, which just came out recently. 2023, I thought it was more recent than that, came out, which is the kind of the story of Air Jordan, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was the story of how Nike approached and got Jordan to sign with Air Jordan.
Yeah. All righty. So let's go back to the beginning of the first 10. And, well, actually, the one that's missing, and I think that should be number 1, is the Muppet movie. because if you're going to travel across the country with a bear and a frog, you got to be a good sport. That's that's the way I look at it.
You gotta. It's like being a baseball manager. You've got to put up with a lot of hijinks and a lot of egos. So
well, hockey too.
Yeah.
Probably any sport, really. I would imagine you get a group of young guys together. Yeah, there's going to be trouble. This is who you have. All righty. So going back to the beginning here. Now, I came up with one of the Love Bug because I said, well, there's racing in it. But if I were to say to you, Cody, what is the Love Bug about?
Yeah, I would probably say it's about a car that talks. And it is, I'll say the racing aspect is not the part that I remember the most. We watched it, I think 2 years ago. And then I was reminded like, oh yeah, this was actually a racing car. And that's why they made like 4 of these movies, because they could just travel around the world racing and everything.
Yeah. So I gotta be honest. And I think going, as much as I love the Love Bug, I think that has to come off round 1. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Okay.
Out of these first 10, I think ones that I would take off, I would say Miracle on Ice. Actually, simply because I haven't really seen it. I've seen the remake. And then I would say The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. However, I also...
Go ahead.
if anybody has ever seen the Will Ferrell movie Semi-Pro, watching the trailer that Stan sent me, The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh looks very, very much like Semi-Pro. Like I want to go back and do a little research and see if there was any inspiration from that movie for Semi-Pro, because they look very, very similar in what they're doing.
It's definitely a movie of its time, and it did not age well. If you watch that trailer, the way they introduce all the different characters in the trailer, it's not politically correct by any stretch of the imagination.
It has I can't remember the character she played in Grease. She's one of the people in the movie, and
not Olivia Newton-John.
No, the one that played the head of the women's gang, not the T-Birds. I can't remember. I'll think of it in a little bit. The Pink Lady. She was the leader of the Pink Ladies.
Oh,
whoever played her. Yeah.
Okay. Did she play the psychiatrist or whatever? I guess.
Yeah.
You know, it has Jules Irving, Meadowlark Lemon, and Jonathan Winters in it in The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. So it has some names there. But yeah. No, I would agree. It's definitely not a top 10. And I honestly, as much as I like the Karate Kid, I don't think Karate Kid should be in there in the top 10.
I would be good with taking that off. I think at least at this stage, trying to get through some of these. I mean, I think
go ahead.
You know what's interesting about Caddyshack? Caddyshack is an all-time classic. However, I always we were talking about what sequels were better than the original. I always liked Caddyshack 2 better, simply because that was the movie I saw first. Okay. So I saw that one first. I really, really liked that one. Then when I watched Caddyshack, some of the jokes were probably a little above me when I first watched it. So that was kind of, that is one that, I think Caddyshack 2 I like better, although I think probably as just a general movie, Caddyshack is probably the better one.
So are we gonna knock off Caddyshack? I think we can knock off Caddyshack.
Yeah, we can knock off Caddyshack. So
and while we're at it, let's knock off Hoosiers.
Yeah.
That's kind of Bad News Bears, Rocky, Slapshot, and The Natural. I love all those so much. The next 10, let's get rid of Bull Durham.
So Bull Durham is, I will say, out of this whole thing, it's not family appropriate. If anybody's listening to this and thinks show it to your kids, do not show it to your kids. I'll say it a second time. Do not show it to your kids. I don't want anybody getting in trouble. It is hilarious. It's about a minor league baseball team, the Durham Bulls. And actually, Stan, I don't know if you know this, the Durham Bulls are actual minor league baseball team, but they've always been relatively good. Even when this movie was made, they were a good minor league baseball team. Okay. They just made the movie because they could film where they filmed in North Carolina. And then it just kind of made sense to turn the name, reverse the names and have a Bull Durham. But, I recently listened to an audiobook called Baseball the Movie, where the author talks about that movie being one of the most accurate as far as what it feels like from a player's perspective and a minor league player's perspective. The conversations that they have, the inner dialogue that they have, like when they're going up to bat or trying to psych themselves up, that's really, really accurate. And I can attest that when I played, aside from like our conversations were probably a little more PG, but I can attest that game action, that was pretty close to a reality.
Well, there was a lot of kind of like a background voice in their heads. A lot of the players when they're at bat, when they're pitching, kind of like telling them, almost trying to psych themselves up or down with that voice.
Yeah. Okay. And it has one of the best lines. It has one of the best lines ever, that if we ever have a rain delay or get a game called for rain, I will tell my kids, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes it rains. That's one of the best lines I've heard from any sports movie.
Really?
Yeah. So I would say
we'll keep that one. I know you want to keep that one in there. I think we can get rid of Rad.
Yeah, Rad it was kind of a trying to get in on the BMX hype. It was a fun movie to watch when I was a kid. Youngblood you could probably get rid of. Yeah, as well. But I like Major League, Field of Dreams, A League of Their Own, The Sandlot. This list is pretty difficult to get rid of a lot.
We can get rid of Mighty Ducks. It hasn't held up.
Yeah. However, do you know briefly the story of the Mighty Ducks? They made the movie
before
because Michael Eisner's kids were interested in hockey, so they made the movie.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later is when they were awarded an NHL franchise. So when the Anaheim Ducks started playing, they actually were called the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. And there was a whole TV show built around them. One of the really sad things with this whole streaming retraction the last few years is there was a show on Disney Plus called The Mighty Ducks Game Changers, which was really, really cool. And basically was kind of it ran for 2 seasons and told the story of the Mighty Ducks are a really, really good team now. And so the game changers were the other kids that were left off of the Mighty Ducks team. And then like it ran for 2 seasons. It was such a cool show. It was a cool family show. We watched it a lot.
I watched that series. Yeah.
Yeah. It unfortunately, I don't even think you can buy that like on digital anymore. Hopefully they'll bring it back.
Oh, they don't have it on Disney Plus anymore? It's gone?
Yeah, that one's gone.
Oh, wow.
Game Changers is gone. Yeah, it's
when you think about it, Mighty Ducks really did like they made Mighty Ducks, they made Mighty Ducks 2, they made a cartoon series, they made the series, they made an NHL team.
Yeah.
Maybe it should be in the top 10.
So it's I don't know if the movie itself is in the top 10 for me, but as far as cultural impact, it is probably the most. It's up in the top 5.
Yeah.
Because they really use that movie to do some great things with the company for sure. Have you ever seen Days of Thunder?
Yeah, I think we can get rid of that. That's the racing one, correct? Yeah, we can get rid of that.
Yeah, it was like a NASCAR. Tom Cruise is in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially with these movies, we could get rid of them.
The other one too, and I know you probably I like it too. I love it a lot, but a lot like The Love Bug isn't really about racing. I don't think The Sandlot is so much about baseball. It's more about kids growing up and being together, and then they got the whole scene with the dog, and they're fighting with trying to get the ball back. It's a coming of age story more than anything. Plus, compared to Bad News Bears, I would stack that higher than The Sandlot.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I love The Sandlot, and The Sandlot has a scene that I share every 4th of July on social media where they're playing under the fireworks.
Yeah. The night game. The only night game they get to play every year is during the fireworks, the 4th of July.
Yeah. But I originally didn't have it in my top 10. I think it was an honorable mention. And so, somewhat begrudgingly, I would say you could take that up. However, Marion Ravenwood is in The Sandlot. Do you remember that?
Who?
Karen Allen is the mother in Sandlot, who played Marion Ravenwood in Indiana Jones.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm not good with names and remembering who they are and stuff like that. You know that. But yeah, I to me it seems it's more of a coming of age story than it is a sports story.
Yeah.
So, alrighty. So we got rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of there. We're doing not too bad. We're nowhere near averaging to get rid of 45. Alrighty. So the next group, what the heck is the Big Green? I'm guessing it's a golfing one.
No, it's actually it's a kids soccer movie.
Okay, it's gone.
And yeah, it's
not in the top 10.
I'll say right off the bat, it could be gone. It was Steve Guttenberg was in it.
Okay.
It was kind of like the trail end of his kind of height of acting. Same thing with Air Bud. I'm not, it's a fun one to watch with kids, but then have you ever seen 8 Seconds?
I haven't seen it, but it's about bull riding, right? It's they have to be on the bull for 8 seconds.
Yeah. It's about, oh my goodness, I can't remember.
It sounds like something we can strike off to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's an inspirational movie. It was real big in like bull riding culture because it's about a famous bull rider who was killed riding bulls. But it's a good movie. But yeah, we can get rid of that one.
We have a rodeo here in Manitoba that's just right near the U.S.-Canadian border. I've never been. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not a big rodeo guy. I think we can get rid of Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, I think.
Well, we definitely can get rid of Space Jam.
So that leaves us with, out of this list, Rudy, Angels in the Outfield, Tin Cup, which Tin Cup that's an amazing, amazing movie. It's a golf movie.
Mm-hmm.
It has Kevin Costner in it. One thing I should have messaged you about is trying to decide who is the best sports actor, because I think it's Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
Whenever he's in a sports movie, that's kind of that's his area. He's really, really good in that. Jerry Maguire is, it's kind of, it's one of those that it's about a sports agent. So it's kind of loosely about sports. There are different athletes that make appearances in it.
I think we can get rid of it, because if you ask anybody what is Jerry Maguire about, and they're going to say, "Show me the money."
Yeah,
show me the money,
or you had me at hello. Those two things, like
So let's knock off Jerry Maguire. What is Varsity Blues?
Jerry Maguire was the
sounds
reason.
like a college football movie to me. I'm not familiar with that one. Varsity Blues.
Yeah. Varsity Blues it was about high school football in the state of Texas.
Okay.
And it had James Vanderbeek in it, if you remember him from Dawson's Creek when he was popular. And it's about kind of what high school football players essentially can get away with in Texas, and their experiences playing. And I'll say I played high school football in the state of Texas, and they took a lot of creative liberties with a lot of the stuff. Like there's a scene where players steal a cop car. Like we never did that, but some of the things that we would do as far as we would have people in our small town come up to us and talk to us just because we played on the football team. And I never really felt the kind of pressure that some of these players in this movie feel, but other my friends said they did. So there are some accuracies in it. However, there is another high school football movie I would say is actually more representative and better than this one. Okay. So I would be okay getting rid of this one. It came out my senior year in high school. So that was kind of the movie all the football players watched.
So we're scratching that one out.
Yeah.
All
and
right,
then
so go ahead.
The last one to have a question on is Rudy.
I'm fine getting rid of it.
Have you seen it? It was about Rudy Rudiger, who played at Notre Dame. He was a walk-on. It's an inspirational movie, but as far as being in the top 10, not so much. One I will say that people listening may not agree with, Angels in the Outfield was actually a remake of a 1940s movie, I think, or 50s movie. But Angels in the Outfield was based on, at the time they were called the California Angels, and it was produced by the Walt Disney Company. And a few years later, I think 2 years later, the Walt Disney Company purchased majority ownership in the Los Angeles Angels. So they actually owned that franchise for a few years, and I believe won the franchise's only championship when they were owned by the Walt Disney Company. You come to think of it, the Mighty Ducks won their only Stanley Cup when they were owned by the Walt Disney Company. So the Walt Disney Company is pretty good at sports ownership.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, they should.
Maybe they need to
buy more teams.
They should buy the Winnipeg Jets, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know what? Our mascot is Mickey Mouse for the Winnipeg Jets.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
that's it.
Perfect. Lines up. Okay, so we're going to keep Angels in Outfield and Tin Cup for now.
Yeah, that was a pretty good list. We did pretty good on that list.
Yeah, that's because those movies all were pretty bad. You got Space Jam in there and Air Bud. Alrighty. I think we can knock off quite a few in this one too. So this is the 1999 to 2004 range. I'd like to knock off Ali right off the hop. Summer Catch is a fun movie to watch once. It's not a very good movie. Okay.
So you could knock off that. Bend It Like Beckham. Bend It Like Beckham it was when early 2000s. So it was an important cultural movie for more women, for awareness of women's sports.
Yeah.
The Rookie is a Disney movie, actually based on true events. One thing from this list, Home Team, I think is actually from 2022. If that's the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay. I might have had a typo.
It was, and you could take it off. It's a comedy, but it's the story of when Sean Payton was suspended from the NFL for a year because of I don't know if you ever heard of the bounty gate, that players on the New Orleans Saints, if they hurt somebody, they got paid extra and things like that during games. And so he was suspended for a year, and he did go, and in that year's suspension, he helped coach his kids' like little league football team. And this is the movie that they made off of that. The guy who plays King of Queens, I can't remember his name right now, plays Sean Payton in it. It's a funny movie, but it's definitely not.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm looking at the yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, we can take that one.
Yeah,
off.
It's not. It was a Netflix movie.
Yeah, yeah. I think Legend
I would
of Baggy
say
Pants. we can get rid of from 2000.
Yeah, I think maybe I've only seen that one once.
Yeah, same here. It's not very memorable.
For Love of the Game is, again, if I talk about, if going back to that baseball book, For Love of the Game is a great baseball movie because, again, it has that inner dialogue that people have during games. It's, I think a lot of people probably feel like it's more of a romantic movie, I'm not sure you would say it's a rom-com.
Oh,
but
it's a rom-com basically, right?
Yeah, because it's basic. It's kind of like half the movie is everything happens in the scope of one game. But I think the bigger story is this romantic story between Kevin Costner and
Kelly Preston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would be okay taking that one off.
Yeah, we could take that one. I'm not big on football movies. I mean, if it was my list, it would be all hockey and baseball movies. So I'm going to count on you to include some other sports.
I would say, go ahead. Sorry.
So I'm not sure about Remember the Titans or Friday Night Lights.
Remember the Titans. It was a good movie. It's an important movie. It wasn't in my top 10. But it tells the story of a high school football team that during the early days of racial integration. And so kind of dealing with that time period. The Friday Night Lights is the movie I said would be the reason worth taking off Varsity Blues, because Friday Night Lights is actually, it's based on a book. And I think the guy's name is Brooks Behringer who wrote it. He lived one season in Odessa, Texas, following around the Odessa Permian football team. And he wanted to write about the town. He wanted to write about the players. And what's so interesting about it, that when he first started it, people in Odessa were really, really excited because they thought this was going to be like a Hoosiers, except for football. Well, when he released the book, it quickly became, this definitely wasn't Hoosiers. It tells about kind of the real life pressure of these players. And it was in West Texas in the 80s. There were still some, there were some racial struggles on the team. So it kind of tells the story of some of the players that would be celebrated on the field, but then, spoken to not kindly off the field, things like that. It has the story of like parents who used to play football and that was kind of their life. Everything since then has kind of gone downhill. And so it really, really does a good job of telling the pressure that was on these kids. So the movie, it's a complete drama. And what's really, really neat about it, even though it was released in 2004, the footage looks like it's like an 80s movie. When you watch it, you feel like you're not watching something from 2004. Like you feel like you are actually watching what it would be like to be there in 1980 or whenever he was following the team.
Is the 80s.
Yeah, because at that time, Odessa Permian was really, really good. They were a really, really good football team. And they do take some creative liberties in the movie, obviously. Like they played the championship game in the Houston Astrodome. That didn't happen. They actually didn't make the championship that year. They did lose to a team called Dallas Carter, which they played in the movie, but they kind of hyped up Dallas Carter to make him more of the villain of the movie than really was what happened.
There's so many movies about high school and college football in Texas. Is it really that huge there? It
is. I mean, there are stadiums, football stadiums in the state of Texas for high school that will seat over 20,000 people.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's they
got the whole marching band thing and all that. Like marching bands, that's an American thing. We don't have those in Canada. Marching bands.
Yeah, it's
I don't like any other country.
Everything really did revolve around high school football.
Yeah.
And if you were on the football team, you would, I would have people come up to me and talk to me about, like, my dad used to be a football coach. So they would talk about like what my dad did to them and tell all these stories. And so, it's a really, really big deal. It's pretty, they make a lot of money.
Okay. So we're going to keep Moneyball, The Rookie, and Friday Night Lights for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All righty. So the next group goes from 2005 to 2015. I think we can knock off Goon right off the hop because 90% of the people listening to this haven't even heard of it. It's a Canadian made. It's a hockey movie made in Canada. It kind of follows this guy that he's the goon of the team. Like his job is to, protect which honestly, I'm watching soccer. And these guys that you look at them sideways and they fall down like they got shot and they're holding their leg and their arm and all that. Like it's so fake. What they need in soccer is a goon. Somebody that will give you a reason to fall down. Maybe think about acting next time you're falling down. That would change.
You know why that happens in soccer? Because there's one ref on the field. And so everybody is trying to get the attention of that one ref.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Everybody's like, you're trying to get the attention of the ref to get a favorable call. And so like, if you get the ball stolen from you and the team's breaking the other way, you'll see a player fall down and they do. I mean, and legitimately, I mean, it hurts getting kicked by cleats in the leg.
Yeah.
You get stepped on. Like there are some legitimate like injuries that happen. But you do see a lot of theatrics to the point that now a lot of the professional leagues have actually implemented rules that if you're down on the field longer than like Major League Soccer, which is in the United States and Canada, if you're on the field, I think for more than 20 seconds or 30 seconds, medical staff has to come on and then you have to be off the field for like a minute or something, which means your team is playing a man down. And then they have put in these rules to try to do that.
Yeah, they got to get more rest or something. It is embarrassing to watch. It's embarrassing. I feel embarrassed as a human watching it. It's bad. It's really bad. All righty. Okay, so we're taking Goon off. I think Fever Pitch can come off.
Yeah, and Fever Pitch that's a remake. I didn't think about it when we were making this list. The original Fever Pitch had Colin Firth in it, and it was about international football. Fever Pitch, this one being remade about the Boston Red Sox with Jimmy Fallon in it.
And Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, Drew Barrymore.
Fallon. Yeah.
Did you ever see Talladega Nights?
I have. It is funny as heck, but I don't think it's in the top 10.
No, it is, but it did a lot to get people to go see NASCAR that wouldn't typically go to NASCAR races.
Yeah.
So, the McFarland USA is one that I don't think a lot of people have seen. It's a good one. It's about high school distance runners, I believe in the state of California, close to the United States-Mexico border.
I had no idea what it was about. I honestly, if you'd asked me, I would have said football.
Here's the thing. It has Kevin Costner in it. But I would say, let's get rid of it because that's one, he does a good job in it. It's a good movie. It's not the type of sports movie. I think
Kevin Costner's in 42 of these 55. So he's going to have to get knocked off a couple of times. What's The Blind Side?
So The Blind Side, and actually it happened here in the Memphis area. The Blind Side is about a player who used to be in the NFL named Michael Orr, who a wealthy family living in the Memphis, Tennessee area adopted him. He was a really good football player, but they adopted him because he was essentially homeless in a way. He didn't have reliable places to stay. And then it's the story of how he, like, inspirational story of the family adopting him. And then he ultimately makes it to college and he made it to the NFL. Sandra Bullock was in it. She actually won an Academy Award for it. What The Blind Side is known for now, like the school that The Blind Side story happened at was actually about probably 15 minutes from where I live. But what it's known for now is within the last year and a half, Michael Orr has come out and said that the family who adopted him, they never actually truly adopted him. He thought he was adopted, but they never actually did.
He just took him in.
And he's accusing the family of not sharing the money that he should have gotten, like from the movie, from the books, or the book that was written and things like that. And so it was like, that's what it's known for now is this accusation of this family that depending on what side of the argument you're on, people think that, they took advantage of this young athlete.
So are we
it is a really, really good movie.
Are we
but, we can take it off.
Okay, scratch it off.
I would say the game plan to take off also.
All right. These ones I'm not overly familiar with. Well, Eddie the Eagle I just love. 42 is a really good one too. I think we can get rid of 42.
Yeah, I would keep Eddie the Eagle.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say I really hate to see it, but I think Eddie the Eagle is in the top 10 of all time. It's an amazing story.
I love Eddie
of determination.
And Eddie the Eagle, that was the same Olympics. That was the Calgary Olympics, the same ones as Cool Runnings.
It's Cool Runnings,
the Jamaican bobsled team.
Yeah,
they actually referenced the Jamaican bobsled team in Eddie the Eagle. Glory Road is about the only Texas University basketball team to win the NCAA tournament. And it was Texas Western University, which is now called University of Texas El Paso. But they played the first all African American team in the championship game. And so it's a story of the racial integration. It's a really, really good story.
So who won?
I don't think it's top 10. Texas Western won. They beat Kentucky.
Okay.
The last scene is I think John Voight plays Adolph Rupp from Kentucky, and they beat them in the national championship game. A really, really good movie. I don't think it's really top 10.
Yeah, okay.
Same thing with Invincible.
Okay. So the only one we're keeping from this group is Eddie the Eagle then.
Yeah.
Okay. This next group of the final 5, I think we can get rid of all of them. I don't think any of them are top 10 of all time.
My All-American was kind of I liked it because it was about a Freddie Steinmark from the University of Texas, but it was a really small kind of low budget movie. It was filmed at Texas, so that's why I liked it.
Texas movie of the month.
yeah. That's basically what it was. It was the Safety was a straight to that was a Disney Plus original about a player who played at Clemson who ended up adopting, or basically his little brother lived with him throughout the time he was in college. 12 Mighty Orphans I actually haven't seen. I've read the book. It's about an orphanage home in the state of Texas, and they played football. It's supposed to be good, but I haven't seen it. Rise is the story of Giannis Antetokounmpo getting drafted in the NBA, moving around from place to place, ending up in Greece. And then Air, if people haven't seen Air, it has an IMDb rating of 7.4. It's one of the higher ones. It is very
good. It is very, very good. Absolutely. But
it's probably not I would say we could take it off because it's probably not considered a sports movie, but it is very, very good. The story of how Nike got Michael Jordan to wear their shoes.
Yeah, and that's with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck in it.
Yeah, and they directed, they produced that movie. So let's see. That actually leaves us. Let me count.
I got 15.
We only have 14 movies left.
I got 15. Did we get rid of Eddie the Eagle?
15?
I got 15.
No. Let's see. Let's double check. The ones I still have.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I got Bad News Bears, Rocky, Slapshot, The Natural, Bull Durham, Major League, Field of Dreams, A League of Their Own, Cool Runnings, Angels in the Outfield, Tin Cup, Moneyball, The Rookie, and Eddie the Eagle. Did I miscount or what's happening here?
Oh, I had Friday Night Lights in there. So maybe
I got Friday Night Lights, yeah.
Well, then I probably just miscounted because...
One of us did.
No, I miscounted. We have 15.
15, okay.
So we got to get rid of 5.
We got to get rid of 5. It's not too bad. Now, this is where the fun begins. We got 10 minutes.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's try this. Give me your top 3 movies off this list. Let's see if we can do it this way.
So my top 3 would be Rocky. Rocky would be my number 1. Slapshot is probably the best hockey movie of all time. And, oh man, number 3 is tough. I'm torn between Major League and probably League of Their Own.
Okay. So my top 3, Bull Durham, probably Major League, and I think I would agree with the League of Their Own because it's a great quote. There's no crying in baseball. So League of Their Own.
And look at the stars in League of Their Own. You got Rosie O'Donnell and crap. There's so many.
Yeah, I mean, well, in that book that I've mentioned a couple of times, it tells about making that movie. And it's really, really interesting, the level of interest in that. So I think A League of Their Own can definitely be in there because we both agree on that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So then, and you had Slapshot and Rocky.
Yeah. I think we can get rid of Bad News Bears.
Yeah, I think Bad News Bears can go.
Okay. Yeah. So 4 more.
So here's something. Field of Dreams is a really, really good movie. There's very little baseball in it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like The Sandlot, where
Yeah.
The Sandlot has more baseball in it.
You're right.
So I would say we could get rid of Field of Dreams, even though,
Okay.
sorry, Kevin Costner.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an amazing movie. You're right. But yeah, I have to agree with that. It's not a sports movie per se.
Yeah. I would definitely.
So that's 2. We got 3 more to get rid of.
I would definitely say we need to keep Bull Durham, Major League. We already said A League of Their Own. I would say Angels in the Outfield, just because I love that movie.
You going to keep that one?
I would say keep Angels in the Outfield.
Okay. I was just about to say we can get rid of that one.
Well,
you know what? We can get rid of Tin Cup.
Have you seen Tin Cup?
Yeah, I have. And it was a long time ago, and it's not overly memorable, obviously, because I know it was about golf, and it was Kevin Costner, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fine getting rid of it, but I would say it's number 11. It's up there.
Okay.
Moneyball is a really, really good movie. It's kind of, the main story is, about how basically they changed baseball to go more statistics driven.
The Oakland A's, was you were referring to. Yeah. And what year was that? Because I have some questions about that one. What year was that supposed to be? About what decade?
So, I mean, it was released in 2000. I thought it was about I'm sorry, it was released in 2001. I thought it was about it's got to be Moneyball, I think, was released in 2011 because it's about.
You're right. It was released in 2011. So I made a mistake. Yeah, another typo there.
Because it's about the A's in the early 2000s. And
so why is it that the team bus looks like it's from the 1950s? And a lot of the outfits and the music, it's a very retro looking movie. Like they're dancing to. It was supposed
to show that how kind of decrepit the organization was, how they didn't have money.
Okay.
And there are a lot of, if people are interested, there are a lot of inaccuracies of it. Like Art Howell, the manager, was actually a pretty strong proponent of doing this system. I had messaged you before, the main scout in the movie, that's not the way, he's an actual scout, or former scout. He makes appearances in a lot of movies. That's not really the way. He wasn't real happy with the way he was portrayed. They leave a lot of things out. Like the year that they're really talking about most, the A's had really, really good pitching, that they leave that out completely.
Okay.
They make it like.
Well, okay. I'm thinking just from these inaccuracies, we need to delete this one because it's not a true telling of the true story. We getting rid of it?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get rid of that one. So how many do we have left?
I think we need one more.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So tell me one movie that cannot be removed.
9, 10. We got 11. Well, Rocky can't be removed.
Okay. So Rocky can't be removed for you. Bull Durham can't be removed for me.
And then Slapshot can't be removed for me.
I would say. Say Major League can't be removed. We already said A League of Their Own is in there.
Yeah. A League of Their Own is in there.
To me, it's between The Natural and Cool Runnings.
I was thinking Cool Runnings as much as Jesus, Lee, John Candy's one of my favorite actors of all time. And it's such a good story too.
Yeah.
Jamaica's known for their sprinters. They've had the best sprinters forever. And they came up with this idea where, well, the main thing you need for 4-man bobsled is good sprinters. So there's no ice in Jamaica. There's no bobsleds in Jamaica, but there's sprinters. Let's get these guys behind a bobsled and make a team.
Yeah.
And the theory works, but in the practicality, it doesn't, because they don't. You have to drive and all that. You have to, it has to be in your blood, I guess. But yeah, it's such a good story.
It's a really, really good story, and it sounds like we're both okay with getting rid of it. I'll say one thing about it: if this helps you feel any better, it's not supposed to be that historically accurate either.
No, it's not. It's not overly historically accurate. It is to a degree. How about Friday Night Lights? Are you married to that one?
It's such a weird situation because this is going to sound weird. In some ways, when you watch it, it seems like a very boring movie, but that really is the way. And I think a lot of it has to do with, like I said, the way that they shot it, the film, like it looks kind of grainy. The music that they used, it's supposed to be like this mundane West Texas setting to just show how kind of sluggish and sometimes boring people's lives were. But it did a really good job of showing that, to show why all of these adults are so hyper focused on high school football.
Well, there's nothing better in sports than boring. That's what you want. Every sport needs more boring and mundane.
So here's the thing. I would say that it's, as far as a movie, it is one of the best like movies I have seen in a long time. So I would say it needs to keep in there for that. And I would tell people, watch it, but watch it. And if you have questions about it, ask Stan and he can answer them. No, if you have questions,
I know very little about it. I'll tell you about Cool Runnings.
That movie makes sense to me because I grew up in the state of Texas. And I think a lot of people who grew up in that area probably would agree that, yes, that's the reason that movie looks the way that it does.
Okay. Alrighty. So, okay, the two I'm willing, I guess Cool Runnings or Eddie the Eagle?
I would say
Cool Runnings?
I would say, yeah, Cool Runnings would go before Eddie the Eagle. I think Eddie the Eagle they took some liberties with it, obviously, but I think it's a little more accurate than Cool Runnings is. So I would say
a comedy for starters.
Yeah.
They weren't there as a joke. They were there. They were serious when they went there.
I would say keep Eddie the Eagle.
Okay, that's a good idea, Cody. Let's do like our top 10. You have your top 10 there?
Yeah, I'm still kind of tweaking a little bit.
You're still tweaking? I got a feeling that after we're done here, we're probably not going to be doing another podcast together again.
There were very little problems, actually no problems picking a 10, but I'm interested to see if our top 10 might just be the inverse of each other. They might be reverse of each other.
Well, like that's just it. Like if you take Canada and North America, where I grew up, it's almost like I wasn't as far north in Canada as you can go, but I'm further north. I grew up further north than most Canadians grow up. And you grew up in Texas, which you can't get too much more south than that. So I grew up with a very winter sports ideology. I grew up, we did softball, but football was pretty much non-existent. Like we had a flag football kind of. But hockey was big, broomball was big, skiing, those type of things. Whereas I'm sure it was hardball, fastball type of thing, I'm guessing, and football.
Yeah, very much so. Like we didn't have access to hockey and things like that. That was later.
I've never played fastball. I've only played softball.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So let's go 10. What's your number 10? Oh, you go 10 down.
Starting at number 10?
Yeah.
Okay. So number 10, which I'm sure is your number 1 or 2, Slapshot, because of where I grew up.
Yeah.
Number 9, I feel like I feel like I'm committing some type of like crime, but number 9, I think is Rocky. Even though
God.
like, well, and this is, I feel like I'm doing something wrong because Sylvester Stallone, like the story of how that movie was made is fantastic. Like Sylvester Stallone really being broke and just writing that story in like 3 or 4 days or something.
I believe it's also the highest rated and grossing movie of all time too. I believe it's the highest rated movie we have on our list at 8.1 from IMDb.
Yeah.
I believe it's also the highest grossing movie of all sports movie of all time. Go ahead.
And so that's the one that depending on what you say, that one I feel like I should move that up into like a top 3 or 4.
Well, it doesn't matter what I say. We're not going to do a podcast together again anyway.
Number 8, The Natural. Great movie. It's got the cool lightning bolt that everybody had when I was growing up. Number 7, Eddie the Eagle. Number 6, Angels in the Outfield. I love watching that with the boys. Number 5, The Rookie. I'm not sure. To be honest, I actually possibly could switch The Rookie and Rocky. But number 4 is Friday Night Lights, which I'm sure is your number 10.
That's my number 10.
Number 3, A League of Their Own. Number 2, Major League because of the quotes. Number 1, Bull Durham. The action in it, the quotes, the conversations. It's fantastic. And I will tell everybody, so everybody knows, I told Stan about Bull Durham. I sent him some some trailers, and he ended up watching the full movie last night. So I've converted him to Bull Durham.
Well, honestly, it wouldn't be my top 10, but I know how important it is. Kind of like Slapshot, probably wouldn't be in your top 10, but you know how important it is to me.
Yeah. So what's your top 10?
So Friday Night Lights is my number 10. It is very almost flipped. Eddie the Eagle, as much as it's a winter sport and it's an Olympic sport, which is like my favorite sports in the Olympics, is number 9. Bull Durham, number 8, which honestly I could probably switch Eddie the Eagle and Bull Durham around. The Rookie, number 7. Angels in the Outfield, number 6. The Natural was number 5. Major League, number 4. A League of Their Own, number 3, which we both had that at number 3. And then Slapshot, number 2, and Rocky is the all-time greatest sports movie of all time.
So we agreed on A League of Their Own at 3 and Angels in the Outfield at 6. We both had that.
Yeah. So we could still be friends.
And I will say, I feel compelled. I need to switch Rocky to number 5 with The Rookie. As I said, I feel like I've committed some type of crime doing that.
Well, I know we're going to get people messaging us going, how come you don't have Air Bud in your top 10?
So here's the thing. You said Rocky. Well, here's something I think is interesting. Look at the types of sports in here. Baseball, there's Bull Durham, Major League, A League of Their Own, The Rookie, Angels in the Outfield, and The Natural. Yeah. 6 of the top 10 movies are baseball movies, which makes sense. I think there are more baseball movies made than any other types of sports movies.
Plus, you and I are both baseball fans.
Yeah.
So, I would probably replace Friday Night Lights and Bull Durham. Well, Bull Durham, I guess, was baseball. But I would replace Friday Night Lights with probably another baseball movie or Cool Runnings.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that's the other thing, too, is this is our list. This is our working together personal list. We're not saying that these are the end all and be all of the top 10 lists of all time.
I went and did a quick screenshot of the list I originally sent you before we came up with all of them and tried to decide together.
Before we went nuts and got 55.
Maybe I have 11 here. I'm not sure. So I had, these are in no particular order except for Bull Durham and Major League. Those are 1 and 2. But I had Bull Durham, Major League, The Natural, League of Their Own. I had Mighty Ducks, Angels in the Outfield, Eddie the Eagle, Friday Night Lights, and then I had Varsity Blues, and I think I put Youngblood on there Youngblood's not that great. It wasn't in my top 10, but that was the list I originally sent. And then we started, trying to figure out how can we do this. So there are 6 or 7 from my list that we ended up with, interestingly.
I can't remember what my initial list was, but I think I sent it to you.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it real quick. So your list was Major League, Bad News Bears. I don't know if these are in order. Major League, Bad News Bears, Ali, Cool Runnings, Caddyshack, The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh, A League of Their Own, The Sandlot, Slapshot, and Rocky. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4. You had 4 on there.
Yeah. Some of them I put in because I knew you wouldn't come up with them. The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I knew that wasn't a top 10 movie, but
because
originally the idea would be the old usual way of coming up with just 10 movies each. So, all right, people, we're way over time. What is your top 10 list? Send me the list or go to the Solo Show and find this post and put in there your top 10 list. I'm curious to see if you have any the same as we did. And I don't think I'm ever doing this again. 55 movies and cutting it back to 10. We'll see. And Cody and I are still friends. Don't worry. We'll be cool.
Hey, good job.
Ken, take it away.
If you have a brilliant idea for a future edition of The Solo Show and would like to take your turn in the guest host's chair, then drop us an email at thesoloshow01@gmail.com. Tell us your idea for the show, and we'll contact you about a date and a time for you to join us. If you would just like to keep the conversation going or have a comment about a previous show, then visit us on Facebook at The Solo Show. All logos, sounds, and songs that are made by and for Disney and its affiliates are owned solely by the Disney Corporation and are not, nor are they intended to be, the ownership of The Solo Show podcast. We hope you'll join us for the next adventure on The Solo Show. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.